We are extremely fortunate to have a big part of the cast of Aida.
It's really a great pleasure for me to be able to be with these wonderful people who are presenting lyric operas Aida this month. So let me begin by asking Renato Palumbo to say something about what he has done in order to make this Aida memorable. And where are the problems that he has faced and how has he been facing them?
When I conduct Aida, I prepare Aida, I think, first of all, that is one very important character of the opera is not right in the cast. Is the Nilo River. Because when they start the war, they said, su del nido al sacro lido. So we go from the Nilo and we go to defend our land. And then the third act, Aida is next to the river. And the river is like one character that doesn't talk, but observe every moment what's happening on the stage. I think it's one masterpiece about the orchestration of Verdi. The last scene, for example. The orchestration about the last scene. The Verdi split the violin in 3, 4 different lines. They play harmonic, pizzicato, arco together. So it's one research, I think, and the influence, especially for the leitmotif of Wagner, is incredible. And then, you know, the music is so involved with the text, with the word of the opera, and it's always very nice to build, to prepare, to discuss with the singers or with the producer every single word, because every single word needs a different sound, a different style of execution.
I wanted to say just one word about that wonderful old prelude of this opera. You know, Verdi actually wrote a full overture to Aida, which he decided not to use. He wrote it for Milan. And the reason, I'm convinced that the reason he wrote it is because he had such a wonderful experience when he revised La Forza del Destino, which was written originally for St. Petersburg. And in 1869, he revised it for Milan. And when he revised it for Milan, he took a prelude, which was very short, and again uses a principal idea, but this is an idea that's used in the whole opera. Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dee-dee-da, that one, okay? And he based it on that, but the prelude was very short, and then he turned it into a full overture for Milan. So I think he planned to do a similar thing for Aida. He thought that he would write a big overture for Milan, and that overture still exists. It's even been performed by Toscanini, but the family won't let anybody see the autographed manuscript because they are convinced that if you see it, you might want to perform it, and you shouldn't be performing it, as Renato rightly says, because Verdi decided ultimately that it was enough to have the piece begin with this preludio, which does have this sense of a single melody that emerges and grows and grows and grows as the thing develops, da-dee-da-dee-dum, ba-dee-da-dee-da, which is the theme we associate with Aida so much during the piece. But he wanted that, and he didn't want it to be developed as an entire overture, but just as a smaller prelude. And so he did just the opposite. He tried to do what he was going to do, what he had done so successfully with Forza del Destino the year before, but he did not do it for Aida. He decided at the end to leave just the prelude. In the final scene, how do you feel about how the orchestra accompanies that moment in which Aida and Radames must, of course, perish for lack of air at the very end of the opera?
In Aida ci sono vari momenti, si parte con una parte eroica, all'inizio Radames è un scalpitante giovane, così torna da eroe nel secondo atto, quindi anche qui con l'impeto degno di un giovane eroe, per poi arrivare, per poi scoprire un lato innamorato, un lato più romantico durante il terzo atto, ed arrivare con intensità puramente liriche in un quarto atto dove Verdi chiede espressamente dei pianissimi.
You were talking before about the words and how important every word was. The words I remember of being such importance are the words ritorna vincitor, come back victor. And everybody sings that to Radames as he goes off to war, including Aida. And then she realizes what she's done, because she understands that his return victorious means against his own people, like her own people. And so she stops herself and she sings that gorgeous scena, ritorna vincitor, that concludes with those beautiful words, nume pietà, pietà del mio soffrir. And what do you think of that, about having said that?
I think Aida have the two personalities very important. One is as a woman in love, and another is she's as princess. She has a great responsibility for the country, and she has for these two personalities she has to create the story. So, as woman, she is really in love. Also in the music, we have found a lot of moments. It's so great with very sweet moments, with violin, beautiful. But also, she has the personality to against something between as a woman or as a princess. Something like the music begin very dramatic at some moment.
Verdi, for an opera like Aida, he meant that this work be understood as a dramatic work. Now, the notion of a divided stage was not typical at the time, and yet Verdi had already introduced the divided stage for Rigoletto. Remember the end of Rigoletto, where you have the quartet with two characters who are outside and two characters who are inside? Verdi insisted on that effect. And if you look at the scenography over the years, you see that in fact they respected his vision very much. And this happens at the end of Aida. This ability to create these scenes in which so many things happen at once is extraordinary.
Professor, do you think there's any truth to the theory that Aida too is a historical screen and the Ethiopians are the beleaguered Italians versus the Egyptians representing the Austro-Hungarian dictator?
It's a good question. The extent to which you can say that Verdi's images and peoples represent something other than themselves is very complicated. There are those who believe that and those who do not believe it at all. And I happen to be among the party that believes more about it. Not necessarily in the case of Aida, because by this time I think that the freedom of Italy was pretty sure. If anything in Aida, I tend to see more a hatred of the priest class, which is really displayed in a terrible fashion. You know, I mean, as Amneris herself says, you know, and you call yourself men of God, as they pronounce the death of her beloved Radames, you know, and their role in the second scene in the finale of Act 2 is equally potent. They represent those who will offer no pity for anyone, and that I think is very much part of Verdi's vision of this opera.